it's Jen and I'm here to bring you another layout for Pink Paislee. Today I'm using the Whimsical collection and I'm going to use paper number 1. This is my goal for this layout, is to use, I'm going to cut this up and use all the pieces from paper number 1 on this layout in layering and different stuff. So that is my goal. I just thought I'd set myself a little challenge to make things a little bit more interesting, and that's where I'm going to start, so I'll take you on the process.
Alright, so first of all I'm going to cut this sheet apart, and I really am going to try to use all of these little bits and pieces, and I'm going to use that for the layers behind my photo. So there are some that are shaped like tags, some that are little word strips, some that look like journaling spots, some that look like cards that you would stick in Project Life or something like that. So this is a really versatile cut apart sheet that is great for something like this where you can just use it for a layout. And of course you could split these up among a whole bunch of different layouts and make it stretch, but I just wanted to see if I could create a layout only using that for my paper. So I'm matting my photo on white, and then I'm just going to start kind of layering these behind, and I'm not worrying. Some of the cards I know the sentiment doesn't really go with what I'm scrapbooking, and so I just am hiding most of the parts of the layout, or not the layout, the card, or just making little parts of it show, like those little hearts below the right hand side of the photo there. And the good day I could have used that as a title card, but instead I just chose to make it into a layer, and it's kind of hiding there. So now you can see I've got a bunch of things layered up, and I've got some tags sticking out the top and bottom. So all of the pieces that were shaped like tags, I went ahead and punched out the holes so that they looked like real tags. And now I'm kind of playing around with some of the word strips that were on that cut apart sheet and trying to see where I can make things fit. I also, if I felt like I needed the pattern a couple of times, I just cut part of it off. So that part that I'm kind of tucking now at the top is from one of the tags that's on the right hand side, and I just cut off the bottom of the tag because I didn't need the whole thing. So you can kind of make it stretch even further. So just kind of playing around here, trying to get a good mix and a good like color balance. And what I'm trying to do, basically what I've done is I've adhered all of these together, but they're not adhered to the background yet. And I want to make sure that I have an equal amount of distance on all of the sides. So I want this whole center layered cluster thing to be right in the middle of the layout. So I will make sure that there's an even amount of distance on all the sides. So I will pop some things up, and I'm fussy cutting these flowers out of one of the cards. So really making good use of those and using them as embellishment as well. So I punched out some circles, I'm fussy cutting some things, I punched holes in the tags so that they look like real tags, and that way it makes this one single paper look a lot more dynamic. So I basically, the whole process of this layout is just kind of fiddling with all of those little bits that I cut out and seeing like what can I tuck here and what do I need over here, and can I balance the words on the right hand side with some more on the left and things like that. So one of the cards had a phrase on it that said, I think it says, do what makes your heart happy or something like that. That's going to be my title, and I just cut the words apart. They're kind of in a rainbow order, and I'm going to place them down the center of the photo in between my head and my sister's, and I'm popping some of those up on foam as well. I'm just using some fun foam, and it's really inexpensive, and you can just you put adhesive on one side and you can buy it with adhesive on the other side, which I really like. So super cheap. I talk about it all the time. I'm sure you've heard me. So I am also making sure that if there's something popped up on the top, then there needs to be something balancing it on the bottom, or things in threes, the usual design go-tos that I have. Now here's that whole piece, and I am going to adhere that down to the background. You can see the whole back is pink because that came from one single pattern paper, and on the other side of the paper it is just a solid pattern. So I mentioned before that I was going to center the whole layout, but I forgot that I decided to kind of put it down and toward the right a little bit, the bottom right, so it's really not centered, so I lied about that. just trying to find a couple more areas to tuck in these little bits and pieces that I have left over. I'm really trying my hardest to use up all the pieces for whatever reason. I've been having a lot of fun playing with little tiny pieces of papers and finding cool ways to layer things up and use scraps. So if you don't want to use a whole sheet of paper for something like this, consider just using a bunch of scraps that you have. You can layer them up in a similar way. Even if they're small, you can get something like this. My largest piece on this was 4x6, but look, I have that nice kind of big background chunk of layers matting my photo. And of course you could do multiple photos as well. So now here's where I decided to put the title down the center of the photo. I think it will show best there because the photo's black and white and there's so much color going on around it. It helps the photo to pop out, and so your eye is drawn there first. So once you look at the photo, then you'll notice there's something on it and your eye will be drawn to the title. So that's kind of how I'm visually drawing the eye of the beholder, the eye of whoever's looking at this page someday. It's probably going to be me, around the layout. So I'm looking through some of the die cuts that I have and trying to see if I want to add those in. But I decide against it, and I'm trying to balance that floral that I fussy cut from a tag up at the top, and I was having a really hard time balancing it. So I cheated just a tiny bit, and I had 2 sheets of this paper, and so I cut the floral out of that same exact floral out of another tag. So this was made with 1 sheet plus the little floral from another tag, just because I really felt like I wanted to balance that. So you can see it now, it's at the top right and the bottom left, and it feels nice and balanced. And I'm just going to put some thread into the tags. I'm pulling out some colors that I think will match. So I've got some gray, I've got some kind of mustardy yellow and some coral, and I'm just cutting all 3, and I'm thinking I'm going to use a bunch of different colors, and I'm just kind of threading it through and then trimming the threads. And I'm not being like super careful about a certain length or the exact way it looks. I'm just kind of letting them be, and I am using all 3 colors there, and I'm going to use the gray one twice. And I think a couple of those are from Stampin' Up, and then the gray one is from Close to My Heart. So there we go. 5 tags. I don't know, something about the way that the tags looked was kind of throwing me off a little bit. I don't know. I ended up taking out the thread on a couple of them and stapling them instead. I just felt like there was too much thread, so I like that better. And then whenever I staple, I try to tape down the back so that when I try to slide it into my page protector, the staples don't get cut or caught on the page protector. And so I'm just adding a few staples in between the word strips to add them into another place. So just looking for maybe one last finishing touch here, and I'm going to go around with my fingernail and scratch the edges of the layers to just help them stand out more. And that is pretty much going to complete this. I'm going to stamp the date with some, I think it's ripe persimmon distress oxide, and then I'm trying to see if I have a spray mist that will match this that I can kind of sprinkle around. So I grab my Tim Holtz distress spray in Tattered Rose, and then I also sprinkled a few other colors as well. So here are some close-up photos. I hope that you enjoyed this layout. You can check out more over at pinkpaisley.com on their blog. I will leave a link in the video description, and I will link to all available products as well. Here at the end of the video, you can see a couple other layouts that I've created for Pink Paislee. If you're interested, check them out, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed already. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again here soon.